This meeting will come to order. Please present the colors. Please present the colors. Can you go through them in because I don't know? I did. I said, please present it twice. After. So we will please present the colors, right? Okay. So they're not going down. Okay, they're not going down. Okay. Please stand for a moment of silence. Thank you. Now will Madeline Bolden Johnson will now sing the national anthem. Madeline, welcome. It's a pleasure to have you here.
Where's the flag? They're right there.
And hold the mic down here.
She's got, okay. Oh, say, can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we hailed at the twilight's last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight o'er the ramparts we watched were so gallantly streaming, and the rockets' red glare, the bombs bursting in air, gave proof through the night that our flag was still there. Oh, say, does that star-spangled banner yet wave o'er the land of the free and the home of the brave?
Thank you, Madeline. That was beautiful. Next, Madam Clerk, please call the roll.
Mr. Bell? Here. Mr. Carter?
Here.
Mr. Cartier?
Here.
Ms. Durham?
Here.
Ms. George?
Here.
Ms. Hartley-Nagel?
Here.
Mr. Hollins?
Here.
Ms. Kilpatrick?
Here.
Mr. Sheldon?
Here.
Mr. Smiley?
Here.
Mr. Street?
Here.
Mr. Tackett?
Here.
Mr. Toole?
Here.
Madam President, the roll reveals 13 present.
Thank you. Next, if Mr. Toole and Mr. Sheldon will please escort the county executive in. And while they are doing that, on February 1st, I formally invited County Executive Matt Meyer on behalf of Newcastle County Council to deliver the annual budget address for Newcastle County. And here he comes. shy. Thank you. County Executive Meyer, please proceed with the presentation of the annual budget address.
Good evening, and thank you. First of all, where's Madeline? Can we give another round of applause to Madeline for that? So it's a great way. You want to just sing this speech, Madeline? Why don't you just sing my speech tonight? It might be a little more enjoyable. Good evening. It's great to be back here in Council's chamber in the City County building. Tonight we're proposing a budget with historic investments in our county workforce, in sports fields, open space, and preservation. A budget that will reduce the amount of taxes residential property owners pay for the first time ever. Before we begin, tragically yesterday, there was yet another school shooting, this time at a school in Nashville, Tennessee. I want to begin this evening with a moment of silence to honor the victims of the Covenant School, both the children and the educators, and to think for a moment about what more we each can do to reduce gun violence in our community. Thank you. I also want to acknowledge the loss today of Newcastle County's longest serving sheriff, actually the individual who once hired our current sheriff, Scott Phillips, and that's former Sheriff Mike Walsh. He served in that role for 30 years, and we extend our condolences to his family and his former colleagues here tonight. He worked for decades for the people of this county. So thank you to Mike and family. So the state of our county finances is strong. Tonight, you're going to hear how in spite of historic pressures of inflation and rapidly increasing costs, we actually are in a better position than ever to withstand an economic downturn. First, I want to start simply by thanking County Council President Karen Hartley Nagel for the invitation to address you this evening to discuss the state of our county and share highlights of the fiscal year 2024 budget that we propose to County Council for consideration. Thank you also to each and every member of County Council. You've continued to demonstrate leadership in addressing legislative and constituent matters for the residents of the county, regardless of the tremendous challenges, the unexpected challenges we've had to face these past few years. We've heard your recommendations and have incorporated many of them into the budget we propose tonight. Thank you also to the other fellow elected county leaders who are here. Please stand. Sheriff Scott Phillips, Register of Wills Ciro Poppity, Recorder of Deeds Mike Kozakowski, and Clerk of the Peace Lisa Dara. Let's give them all a round of applause. Their sound financial management of their offices is an important part of our ability to sustain and grow county services through good times and bad. And thank you also to all of our county employees. If there are any union leaders, union presidents, or anyone in union leadership, would you stand, please, so we can recognize your work? We have many dedicated leaders of county departments who I know County Council know well, and your continued efforts, along with the union leadership and employees to serve the residents of our county, are critical to what we will discuss this evening. Tonight, we're going to discuss historic investments in public safety in our libraries and parks and housing. We managed to acquire one of our county's largest hotels and convert it into something we call the Hope Center, among the most comprehensive emergency shelters in state history. To date, it's provided emergency housing to 2,264 of our most vulnerable friends and neighbors, and provided services that have helped 227 households, over 1,000 people move to permanent housing. That's a lot of people, especially in Little Delaware. We did all this without a single dollar of additional expense from your property taxes. An accomplishment like this is truly a collaborative effort with County Council, of course, unanimous County Council, believe it or not. But I also want to thank our federal delegation for their tremendous support of the Hope Center, most recently with $750,000 for roof repair and transportation funding. We also owe thanks to the cities of Wilmington and Newark, Department of Health and Human Services Secretary Molly McGarrick, the Bridge Clinic, Christiana Care, Friendship House, Delaware Center for Homeless Veterans, and so many nonprofit organizations and individuals who've organized donation drives, corporate partners, most recently TD Bank and Uber, and so many other members of the public. Through strong fiscal management and efficiency improvements we've made over multiple years, our financial reserve balances have grown to historically high levels. Our reserves have increased 400% since when I first came into office 6 years ago, 400%. Our total general fund reserve balance back in 2017 was $35 million. We're projected to be at $156 million by the end of June this year in a couple months. This graph here shows a combination of the tax stabilization reserve, which is the blue bar, the revenue replacement, which is the light blue bar, the real estate transfer tax reserve, which is the gray bar, the reassessment reserve, which is the yellow bar, plus the much smaller strategic economic fund reserve and library reserve, which are in aqua and green colored, respectively. This healthy revenue balance is the consequence of years of working together to create efficiencies across our government, investments in information technology, benefit savings, and savings in risk management, as well as a healthy real estate market that added to our revenues. In our most recent sewer billing, we received 10,000 fewer checks than last year. 10,000 fewer checks. Now, normally, if you hear something like that, you would think we have a crisis in collection. But this is actually a good thing, something that saves the taxpayer money. This past year, we made paying your sewer bill as easy as paying for your Amazon order. And when you pay by online check or Venmo or Apple Pay, Google Pay, your county government realizes savings of not having to process 10,000 checks check for the right amount, the right account number. Savings that tonight we propose to pass along to you, the taxpayer. As a result, we're also investing in county government services and infrastructure like never before. Even with such additional investments in county core functions, we simply do not need to collect as much money from our residents this year. So tonight I propose a one-time residential county property tax credit of 5%, the first time we believe in county history. We're able to propose this tonight due to the hard work from departments across the county to improve efficiencies while continuing to provide the highest quality service to our residents. 3.5 years ago, we hired Nikki Capello, a recent Deltec grad, as a paramedic. 3.5 years ago. Remember that. She's a star. Last year, she had the most self-initiated paramedic responses as a single responder, assisting on hundreds of calls from Delawareans in your most vulnerable and scariest, in their most vulnerable and scariest moments. She saved the lives of 2 individuals whose hearts literally stopped beating, individuals who each walked out of the hospital within days. Last Wednesday, she took a 15-minute practice ride with our paramedic bike team. And then while preparing to go to the Hotel DuPont to receive the Kiwanis Club's annual Paramedic of the Year award, she received notice of a cardiac arrest in the neighborhood where she lives. This is just last Wednesday. She ran to respond, still barefoot, to assist with this cardiac save. Is Nikki here? All right, can we give Nikki a round of applause for her efforts? I know many of you here know Lori Williams. She retired 2 years ago after decades of selfless paramedic service. When she retired, she told me on Facebook Live how she had so much more service left to give, how she loved old paramedic programs like Vial of Life and Bystander CPR. So we brought her back, and she's providing county paramedicine better than ever before. I mention that because you should sign up today for Bystander CPR. Others are signing up, and it is saving lives. Last week, I met Jacqueline Del Campo. Mrs. Del Campo suffered a cardiac arrest and was actually clinically dead for 10 minutes back in October before being revived by a combination of bystanders, paramedics, and firefighters from Cranston Heights and Longwood fire companies. Ushers in the church were actually the first to administer CPR to Mrs. Del Campo. 10 days prior, Lori and paramedics Ashley Talenda and Jorge Vasquez led a hands-only CPR class that included those ushers. Thanks to their work, Mrs. Del Campo is still with us today. So you can take 2 steps today to help save your family and neighbors. First, visit newcastlede.gov/CPR to sign up for a free CPR class. And second, download the PulsePoint app, which will give you an alert when someone nearby needs the help for which you have trained. Our emergency communication operators do extraordinary work every day saving lives. There's a national standard that it should take 2 minutes, 30 seconds from when someone calls 911 about a cardiac arrest to when CPR compressions begin. Because of the amazing work of our 911 operators giving on-the-phone instruction, and because so many members of the public have been trained in CPR, the median time in our county is 12 seconds faster than that standard, 2 minutes and 18 seconds. This literally keeps our friends, neighbors, and family members alive. Officers across our police department regularly encounter challenges beyond traditional public safety responses. During a recent home invasion investigation, Sergeant Michelle Burris learned that the victim had multiple unmet needs in his apartment. She used her personal time and resources to collect and deliver furniture and clothing. And with the assistance of fellow detectives and behavioral health unit officers, she got this individual what he needed. Is Sergeant Burris here tonight? Thank you to Sergeant Burris. Can we give her a round of applause? Our fire companies come together in times of emergency and also times of caring. A staff member from Nemours Children's Hospital wanted to fulfill a dream for one of their young patients and reached out to Kevin Keating from Mill Creek Fire Company. Last week, Kevin organized a parade of fire trucks with 41 fire companies from across Delaware, including Wilmington Fire, the Air National Guard, and the DuPont Company Fire Brigade. Just last week, they gave this child the gift of a lifetime. So we're making historic investments in public safety employee compensation, which is aiding in recruitment and retention in these critical fields. For the third consecutive year, we ran both police and paramedic academies to bring these new first responders into our public safety ranks, and we will continue to recruit, run academies, and work to train and retain these heroes. Many fire companies have experienced decreased volunteerism, increased cost, and decreased revenue from ambulance runs as residents struggle to pay their ambulance bills. Newcastle County has committed over $7 million in additional funds to the fire companies since the start of the pandemic. With our proposed budget and with Councilman Bell's strong collaboration, we plan to invest $200,000 in a fire service study to better understand the root causes and identify more sustainable funding options. We understand that some of these issues go beyond just our county budget. So we have been in communication with the leadership of Kent and Sussex counties about the possibility of expanding this study statewide. We must prioritize the accountability and safety not only of our fire service, but also of our police and all first responders. What is the number one way that police officers nationally get hurt on the job? I'm asking you, what's the number one way? Cars, vehicles. For decades, we've scrambled to find a place to train new officers and retrain existing officers in emergency vehicle operations. If you don't believe me, talk to former Chief Bond or current Chief Block. We're constantly looking for a place to train our officers in vehicle operations, and that goes for all of our public safety agencies. In partnership with the state, we will begin construction this year on the finest emergency vehicle operations course our state has ever seen. A training space for all public safety agencies, including fire companies across our state, not just Newcastle County, for all agencies to use. As I think we all know, we recently completed construction and opened the Appoquinimink Library. What you may not know is it's really now a busy community hub and an amazing investment. In the first 8 months since opening, we've had over 83,000 visits, more than double the visits over the same time last year in the old Appo Library. The group study rooms are in use most hours of the day. If you go there, you'll see teens gathering after school to game and craft together in a space that they call their own. Guests of all ages are using the Maker Lab and the video and audio studio to create their own projects and content. I went in there, they handed me a microphone, I put it down and walked the other way. Story times are highly attended by our youngest library guests, the readers of tomorrow. Tonight, we're announcing a proposed investment in our next library project, a replacement Newark Library. Again, in partnership with the state, proposing to County Council that we kick off the design phase in the coming months. We welcome the community's input, the Friends of Newark Library, and others on this next enhancement to our library system. In addition to exciting new facilities like these, we're also investing in critical maintenance and upkeep needs for our existing library. The pandemic highlighted the importance of safe outdoor spaces for families, which was reinforced during our parks town halls across the county last year. Tonight's proposed budget includes historic investment in county parks and maintenance. On a foggy day last November, we broke ground on the southern Newcastle County Park, the largest county park ever, south of the canal. The second largest, actually, after Wiggins Mill. Thanks to Councilman Carter's drone footage, you can see our current progress in developing the park. We plan to be cutting a ribbon and opening it up shortly. Our proposed budget also includes additional funding for maintaining this park and also preliminary planning for a nearby park on Bethel Church Road. We are investing in active recreation like never before. I heard from so many in the public and many of you about the importance of these opportunities. We plan to improve our softball facilities at Del Castle Park, improve Surratt Park and pool, build a second turf soccer field at Banning Park, build 25 new pickle parks. We'll have over 50 pickleball courts in all. We're going to continue to invest in basketball and tennis court seal coating, like we have done this year in Collins Park, Zerba Park, Sparrow Run, and more. We'll also kick off the master planning process for Press Park to serve the Red Lion area, and we'll collaborate with other funders and invest $1 million to build the state's first competition-level indoor track. Now, demand from local high schools and club teams is high, and teams currently travel to other states to compete, even in Delaware statewide competitions for indoor track. A local indoor track is also projected to bring dramatic increases to hotels and restaurants that will benefit the county for years to come. With public spending on projects at historic highs across our country and across our state, we have an obligation here in the county to spend public money equitably across all communities. Going hand in hand with these additional investments we're talking about tonight will be the launch of our Small Business Enterprise Program, intended to increase participation by small businesses and businesses owned by people of color in our procurement processes. Newcastle County suspended this program way back in the 1990s due to a single Supreme Court decision. With our new infrastructure investments, we plan to spread our government contracting opportunities across the community in an equitable way to make sure all businesses have a fair chance to participate in county procurement. I think everybody in here knows we're facing a national housing affordability crisis with local consequences. Rents are up 32% in the last 5 years and 14.5% last year in Delaware alone. According to the Delaware Online, it's the 5th highest increase nationally. With mortgage interest rates higher than they've been in 15 years, affording a new home is more difficult than in recent memory, especially for our lowest and moderate income residents. That's why I'm so proud to have partnered with County Council to create a $31 million affordable housing fund. I also want to thank the members of the Housing Advisory Board, in particular Councilman Penrose Hollins, who created the Housing Trust Fund years ago. Your partnership in the directing the spending from this trust fund is critical in addressing this affordability crisis. These critical investments are helping to create, renovate, and protect affordable housing opportunities right here in Newcastle County. In addition, I want to add thank you to Councilman Jay Street for your partnership in expanding the senior home repair program to include outdoor home repairs and tree removals for some of our most vulnerable senior residents. We're not just building and renovating more affordable housing, we're also making it easier for residents to use their housing vouchers. Just last month, we signed an agreement with the City of Wilmington government, making it easier for residents to use their vouchers to relocate from Wilmington to Newcastle County and vice versa. Thank you so much to Mayor Mike Perzicki for his partnership with Newcastle County on yet another important initiative between our two governments to streamline access to affordable housing. We recognize intergenerational poverty cannot be addressed with increased police presence alone. which is why we developed a community-based approach to reducing violence and increasing community engagement through our Building Better Communities initiative. We're supporting boots-on-the-ground organizations with one-time federal funding opportunities. For example, Project Seed is creating a new playground in Rosegate, providing mental health workshops in Sparrow Run, and more. Supporting Kids is providing grief support and individual therapy services at several schools in the county. The committee is investing already in Knollwood, Sparrow Run, Rosegate, and Richardson Park, with other neighborhoods and with your partnership in County Council to follow. I want to share a big thank you in particular to Vanessa Phillips and CJ Bell on my team and each of the Building Better Communities committee members for their dedication and service to this effort. As part of our NCC at 2050 comprehensive plan, Newcastle County set a goal to preserve 30% of our land as open space by 2050. That's why I'm proud to include a $1 million investment in open space preservation in my budget. In addition, we are doing more than ever to collaborate with the State Farmland Preservation Program to keep farms from becoming strip malls. My budget reflects that intention with a $1.5 million investment in farmland preservation. We also include in our budget a one-time investment, I think for the first time, to the preservation of historic resources through the Delaware Preservation Fund, and an investment in strategic planning for the programming at Rockwood Park and Museum, a beloved county facility. For the first time in 19 years, Newcastle County and Wilmington have agreed on a wastewater treatment contract. It took a while, but thanks to the partnership of Mike Perzik and his team and the fine work of Tracy Searles and Will Davis, Marianne Dougherty, and our legal department, we are collaborating like never before on sewage, ensuring that our sewer system runs efficiently for our residents for years to come. We're continuing to invest in our wastewater management system, replacing aging infrastructure proposing to replace in this budget aging infrastructure in Holloway Terrace, in Claymont, and in the Brandywine 100 areas. The county was, for the first time, awarded a Water Infrastructure Finance and Innovation Act grant from the Federal Environmental Protection Agency to assist with the complete rehabilitation of the county's most critical piece of infrastructure, the Christina River Force Main, which services the majority of homes north of the C&D Canal. In addition, with the help of County Council, last year we added to the legacy of Green NCC by updating our drainage code to reduce water pollution and flooding in our county. So here's the summary. We propose a total operating budget of $331,422,408 and a total capital budget of $75,098,163. Thank you to Chief Financial Officer Michael Smith and Vicki Ford and Joanne Finnegan as well for leading the process, a months-long process, taking input from all corners to prepare this year's budget. I also wanted to take a moment and thank Andrea Allman, my Chief of Staff, who's been working tirelessly to prepare for this evening. Thank you also to County Council Finance Committee co-chairs, George Smiley and John Cartier. You're going to be hosting public budget hearings with our department leaders over the next month to discuss the details of this proposed budget. As always, we encourage the general public to come out and attend. Let your voice be heard. But let me be honest, the tireless work of County Council and our finance department, along with the incredible collaboration between Michael Smith, Vicki Ford, Councilman Smiley, and Councilman Cartier, is really fundamental to what puts us in such a strong financial position today, and I thank you all for that. So let's continue this year to work in this strong collaborative vein. So when you leave the doors of County Council chamber, I think we all understand, talking to our constituents, that times are tough for many. After COVID, prices are increasing. For too many, wages are not keeping pace. What we're attempting to do with this budget is continue to invest heavily in the critical local services that we exist to provide in county government, while also reducing the cost to you and your family, to taxpayers and their family in their annual tax bill. Thank you again to County Council President Hartley Nagel and to each of the members of the County Council for this opportunity to address you this evening. We look forward to your questions and comments in this collaborative budget process. Good night and God bless.
County Executive Meyer, thank you very much for delivering the budget address this evening. And I would also like to recognize one former city councilman, Michael Brown, is also here in attendance. Thank you. Thank you, Matt.
Motion to accept the budget as presented. Second. I got a second.
Second.
Is there a motion to adjourn?
No adjourn. Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? This meeting is adjourned.